Chapter 64 Shri Vishnu Mahayag. During February 1962, the astrologers had predicted that on account of the conjunction of 8 planets, Ashtagrahi Yoga, there would be a great calamity. Such a conjunction had taken place during the Mahabharata war. Pujya Shri was in Kirti Mandir in Banaras, and one devotee, Chelubhai, asked him, Bapu, this conjunction indicates great upheavals in the world. Can it be averted? Gurudev replied calmly, Don't worry, there will not be much harm. Yet it would be better to do something to minimize the evil effects by propitiation of planets. As instructed by Pujya Shri, a 9-day recitation of Ramcharitmanas and performance of a yagna were organized. Many Mahatmas from all over holy places showed willingness to participate in the yagna. Along with the yagna, all undertook 108 recitations of Manastri for averting the impending calamity. Ranchoddasji Maharaj of Chitrakoot undertook to preside over the recitation, and the entire village of Paprenda volunteered to become the venue of the yagna. The visitors from surrounding villages were so numerous that even with the donation of ₹1 by all of them, the daily collection amounted to more than 5,000 rupees. Once, when Gurudev was passing by, several devotees who had come for darshan started offering ₹1 at his feet. A very old lady, with a view to tender her offering, was trying hard to open the knot in her sari to submit her amount. Gurudev spoke in a light tone. Ma, give me my rupee. I am very fond of getting dakshina from you people. But all were astonished when the old lady at last succeeded in untying the knot on her sari and offered a well-preserved but wrinkled 100-rupee note at Gurudev's feet. Needless to say that 100 rupees, with ruling gold prices at the time being 100 rupees for 10 grams of gold, is equivalent to 5,000 rupees at today's prices. Gurudev observed that her donation to the cause was supreme. Ma must have saved for long and collected this amount to make such an offering, which may be her entire life savings, leaving her nothing. While others donate only the surplus from their savings, Ma had given her all. What can I do for her in return? He asked. At the public meals on occasion of the Bhandara, along with the yagna, people were given a feast of puri and sugar. In UP, people are accustomed to eat the same with joy. It was commonplace sight for one diner to eat as much as 1/4 kg of sugar with each meal. Passing buses were stopped and passengers thereon invited to partake meals enthusiastically, and yet only 2 bags of sugar was consumed. Same with the case with bundi laddus, which were prepared in limited quantity, yet they remained unexhausted despite the fact that thousands had eaten them for dinner. Thus the yagna concluded on a joyous note. Such anushtans were organized all over India, and because of them and blessings of saints like Gurudev and offerings like the old lady, the major calamity was averted. After Paprenda, similar to Manas Parayan was done in Katpitha also. The school built over there during this period by the villagers was named after Gurudev. At present, it houses 400 students. Jai Bhagwan. Chapter 65 Guna Eye Camp. Gurudev decided to have a second eye camp at Guna. The Guna jail was newly built and still unoccupied. At the request of the volunteers, the camp was held in that premises. It had a vast compound and comfortable rooms for all. The first operation was performed on 18th February 1963. In this camp, Gurudev used to welcome new arrivals with the jocular remark, Guna means crime. Therefore, those who come to Guna are housed in the jail. He added, Till we do our duties with attachments and desires, we are imprisoned in this worldly prison. And therefore, if you do your duties with detachment and without expectations, you will be released from this jail, and instead of prisoners, you will become a jailer. A jailer too comes to the jail, but merely to discharge his duties and not to undergo imprisonment. The jail rules do not apply to him. The saints come to the world like a jailer, not to undergo imprisonment, but in obedience to God's command and not to suffer or enjoy for their acts like others. The camp concluded with 2,321 operations on 10th March 1963. During one of his discourses at Chitrakoot, Gurudev had said, "I have toured all over India on foot when there were no railways and the population was only 3 crores. He continued, "Many years ago, I had gone to Virpur and was received by Jalaram Bapa, who honored the saints. He invited me to dine. I said, I do not eat food prepared by others. Bhagatji took out a roti from his shoulder bag and said, 'Take this roti as Sri Ramji's prasadi.' I touched it to my head and returned it, saying, 'I do not eat roti with ghee.' Now Bhagatji took out another dry roti and gave me, and I ate the same with delight." When Gurudev arrived in Jharia after the Chitrakoot camp, there was monastery recital and Sankirtan at the residence of Shri Purushottam Bhai Sonpal. After celebrating Ram Navami and Hanuman Jayanti there, Gurudev left on a pilgrimage to Jagannath Puri along with some devotees. Jai Bhagwan.
Chapter 66 Gondia Eye Camp and the second Eye Camp at Chitrakoot. The venue of the next Eye Camp was Gondia in Maharashtra. The first operation was performed on the 1st of December 1963. During this camp, Gurudev was bedridden for some time. He was dogged by asthma, cough, and fever. Since he needed round-the-clock care and vigil, devotees assigned duty hours among themselves. Chelubhai, Vajubhai, and Omkarbhai were assigned the task in shifts. The first day was uneventful enough, but on the night shift of the second day, due to the pleasant warmth of the heater in the freezing cold, Omkarbhai dozed off to sleep for a while and could not be there to assist Gurudev when he had to go to the toilet during the night. But he suddenly woke up at the sound of the closing door, and he felt very contrite, and henceforth was more diligent in performance of his duties. While the volunteers were thus being rotated to provide them relief from fatigue, during his discourse, Gurudev spoke on service and sacrifice. Service is to sacrifice our all in the service of whom we serve. This is more suited to a woman's nature. Once they undertake to serve, they forget themselves. The bodily service is not everything, yet the same can never go in vain. If you transcend the body and do your meditation in solitude, then the joy obtained thereby will be beyond description. The female form is made up of emotions and full of steadfastness, and therefore this form's chances for salvation are greater. The families of Chhatrabhujbhai and Narendrabhai performed noteworthy services in this camp, which ended on 25th December 1963 with 5,059 operations. In the second Chitrakoot camp, the first operation was performed on the 14th of November 1964, and the camp concluded on 25th November 1964 with 42 and 19 operations. One Jati Bhai who came from Baroda had lost his eyesight since the last 22 years, and all the doctors had given a hope about his cure. Even at the Chitrakoot eye camp, the doctors gave a negative report, and thus being disappointed from all quarters, he approached Gurudev, who gave him solace and sent him back to Baroda. On reaching Baroda, the Yetiji was pleasantly surprised when at first he could discern dim light and gradually he began to see normally. By the grace of Gurudev, his eyesight was restored without any medication or surgery or any other treatment whatsoever. Such a Guru who can make his disciples see and realize the Supreme Brahman through divine sight can naturally restore eyesights in the worldly sense. Jai Bhagwan. Chapter 67, Sagar Eye Camp. The first operation was performed on the 14th of February 1965. During the camp, Gurudev visited the kitchen, and on one occasion, all saints and Mahatmas present over there got up from their seats and performed Dandavat Pranam with full faith and reverence. Seeing this, Parvati Bain said, "Even the saints are attracted by you." After a moment's silence, he replied, "Paro, this attraction is due to the bhajan that this body did in the past. You are watching the true strength of devotion." Hirabhai was a true devotee and God constructed a magnificent temple beside his home. God is not partial to any community, and therefore such an inborn urge of dedication to God could be in any community. After the temple was ready, he sent an invitation through Bhanubhai at the camp, requesting Gurudev to grace the occasion for installation of the idol in the temple at his auspicious hands. The ceremony was to be accompanied by 108 Manas Path Yagna, Sadhu Bhojan, etc. He also invited all other saints and Mahatmas to grace the occasion of installation of the Ram Sita idols. Pujya Shri agreed and fixed up the 9th of Vaisakh Sudi. The army camp at Sagar had extended its wholehearted cooperation in the undertaking, and Manibhai invited Gurudev to visit the place where the Jawans were being trained. He addressed them with a patriotic and forceful oration. The camp concluded on the 3rd of March 1965 with a total of 4,738 operations. Jai Bhagwan.
Sarve Sukhina Santu, Sarve Santu Niramaya, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschit Dukhamapnuyat.